You notice it in small moments. A message gets left on scene. A plan happens without you. A joke lands, but nobody looks at you after. And suddenly, a quiet thought appears. They don't really need me. You start wondering if every friendship is temporary, like you're just filling a seat until someone better arrives. Not abandoned, not rejected, just replaceable. And the strange part? Even when people clearly like you, your brain still whispers the same thing. Anyone could take my place. So where does that feeling actually come from? Because the answer isn't what most people think. When you feel replaceable in friendships, the experience isn't dramatic. It's subtle. You overanalyze pauses in conversation. You replay interactions later, trying to find the moment where you said something wrong. You notice how easily people laugh with others, and a quiet comparison starts running in your mind. They're funnier than me. They're more interesting. They're closer to everyone. Slowly, something shifts inside your identity. You stop seeing yourself as a friend and start seeing yourself as an optional extra. So you become careful. You try not to talk too much. You try not to ask for too much. You try not to inconvenience anyone. Because a small part of you believes something dangerous. If you become difficult, they'll replace you. Over time, this belief changes your behavior. You become the agreeable friend, the listener, the one who adjusts. But strangely, the more you shrink yourself, the more invisible you feel. And that creates a painful loop, because the brain begins to interpret silence as proof. See, you were replaceable all along. But this pattern isn't random. Psychology has a very clear explanation for why this happens, and it begins much earlier than most people realize. Feeling replaceable doesn't mean something is wrong with you. In many cases, it means your brain learned a very specific survival strategy. Human beings evolved in small social groups. In those groups, being excluded wasn't just emotionally painful, it was dangerous. Your brain developed a system designed to constantly scan for signals of social rejection. Psychologists call this social rejection sensitivity. But this system doesn't activate equally in everyone. For some people, the brain's social radar becomes extremely sensitive. It starts detecting threats even when there aren't fully there. Imagine a smoke alarm that goes off not only when there's fire, but also when someone makes toast. That alarm isn't broken, it's overprotective. Your brain is doing the same thing. It's trying to prevent exclusion before it happens, even if it means seeing danger where none exists. To understand this deeper, we need to look at how the brain processes social belonging. There is a region called the anterior cingulate cortex. One of its jobs is detecting social pain. Research shows that this area activates in similar ways when you experience physical pain and when you feel rejected. In other words, to the brain, social exclusion is a survival threat. Now add another system, the brain's prediction machine. Your mind constantly predicts what will happen next based on past experiences. If your earlier social experiences included moments of being ignored, overlooked, or replaced, your brain builds a model of the world that expects the same outcome. Think of it like a movie script your brain keeps reusing. When you walk into a social situation, your brain already has a storyline prepared. Eventually, you'll be replaced. Because of this expectation, your attention becomes biased. You notice every signal that confirms the script. Someone takes longer to reply. Your brain highlights it. Two friends laugh at something without you. Your brain records it. But moments that contradict the script often pass unnoticed. When someone enjoys your company, when someone invites you somewhere, your brain treats those moments as exceptions, not evidence. This is called confirmation bias. Your brain filters reality to match the prediction. So the feeling of being replaceable slowly becomes something that feels like fact. But once you understand the mechanism, something interesting happens. You realize the feeling isn't coming from reality alone. It's coming from the brain's prediction system, and that opens the door to changing it. But not by forcing positive thoughts. The brain doesn't change that way. It changes through experience and behavior. Instead of trying to convince yourself you're valuable, the goal is to gently retrain how your brain interprets social situations. Here are 4 principles that help do that. Notice when you start adjusting your personality just to keep people comfortable. Pause. Speak normally instead of carefully curating every sentence. Why this works in the brain. When you constantly perform for approval, your brain learns that acceptance only happens when you hide parts of yourself. This strengthens the belief that the real you is replaceable. But when you allow authentic behavior and still experience acceptance, your brain updates its prediction model. Real-life example. Instead of laughing at every joke or agreeing with every opinion, you calmly say, "I actually see that a bit differently." When nothing bad happens, your brain records new evidence. Notice when your mind starts comparing your worth against other friends. Interrupt the comparison. Friendships are not ranking systems. Why this works in the brain. Social comparison activates reward circuits in the brain, especially dopamine systems. But constant comparison also increases anxiety and threat detection. Your brain begins treating every interaction like a status competition. Removing comparison signals safety. Example, if 2 friends are bonding over something you don't relate to, resist the urge to measure your importance. Instead of thinking, "they like them more," simply observe the moment. Your brain slowly learns that connection between others is not the same as rejection of you. Focus on being mentally present in conversations instead of monitoring how you're being perceived. Listen fully, respond naturally. Why it works in the brain. Self-monitoring activates the brain's default mode network, which is responsible for self-focused rumination. High rumination increases social anxiety, but when attention shifts outward, brain activity moves toward networks involved in empathy and connection. Example, instead of thinking, "Am I talking too much?" focus on the other person's story. Ask one genuine follow-up question. Presence creates connection far more reliably than performance. If you're still here, this video probably spoke to you. Consider liking the video and subscribing for more psychology like this. And tell me in the comments, have you ever felt like the replaceable friend in a group? And what moment made you realize it?